don't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Just so you guys know, I want to let you all know that I really treasure the culture the show has, from the itinerary to the layout to every time the theme plays, you all have like emojis and gifs ready to play. Just I love you guys, and always remember that, because you guys really help make this show. I would do this show if it was just me, because this show is like halfway in audio, like vlog for me. But you guys really help make this a thing that I look forward to doing every week. Even you, Agent Smith, even though you almost broke my arm arresting me a couple weeks ago, even though you threw me in the back of the van, and like you hit my jaw so hard against that metal bench, 2 of my teeth are loose, and it's going to cost the dentist like $1,000 to fix it. But even you, Fed, even you. Welcome to the July 23rd episode of Thalmor Radio. I am your host, Thalmor, coming to you live in a mountain valley deep in the Kentucky wilderness, avoiding skinwalkers, avoiding FBI helicopters, military predator missiles. It's a fun time out here, ladies and gentlemen, and I am here to share that fun time. I got some decent topics to go over, but first off, as we get settled in for the next 45 minutes of content, I want to talk about entertainment. So I like to go over what kind of media I'm consuming, because if I like something, I want to share it. And so this is what's on my mind now. We're in July 23rd. Today, a new Dragon Ball Super movie got announced. I watched Dragon Ball Super Broly when it came out. I think it was January of 2019. It came out in the West. And I watched it and I loved it. It was fantastic. And I've been waiting for the anime to kick back up. That's not been happening. But the new movie is in production and it will be released next year, and that is really exciting because I am a big Dragon Ball nerd. For the Yakuza games, in September, the sequel to Judgment, one of the spin-offs, is coming out. That game is called Lost Judgment, and it looks like it's going to be really good. For anime, I watched Higurashi Gao like a month or two ago, and now the sequel to that, Higurashi Sotsu, is airing. I'm going to wait until the English dub gets released, and then I'm going to watch that. So that might also be like a next year thing. And that's kind of about it. That's what's on my mind. I'm waiting for Halo Infinite. I don't know when that's going to be. That's kind of about it. I'm not much of like an anime or television guy. I like what I like, and that's kind of it. Oh, the Sopranos prequel movie, The Many Saints of Newark, that's also coming out soon, I think. Finally, they released a trailer for it, and the trailer is fantastic, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And now I think for real, that is about it. It took me a long time to learn how to pronounce Higurashi, Kiwi. It really did. I can also pronounce Hinamizawa, and I'm very proud of that. One cool thing about playing all the Yakuza games is that I've developed some skill at pronouncing Japanese, so that's pretty cool. Okay, that's it. So there's the trial for Jazz, and I am delaying that. We have a jury that's full. We have some extra jurors, and we got a defense team, a 2-man defense team. I do not have any prosecutors, which is ironic because everyone doesn't like Jazz. So if you want to be a prosecutor, does anybody want to be a prosecutor? Let me just ask that. Who wants to prosecute Jazz in the High Court of Thalmor? Apparently nobody. So that's interesting. So that might be a problem because my options become reach outside the Thalmor community, which is possible. Okay, church volunteers. Okay, so I will keep that in mind for later. I'm if all else fails, I might just cancel it. But church is volunteered, so I will reevaluate this. For now, there's been a continuance issued, and the trial is set to occur July 30th. Bojack, I am leaving it up to the prosecution what they want to charge Jazz with. It's very open ended, just like with the trial of Tay. If the prosecutor couldn't come up with any charges, I would come up with something. But of course, as the prosecution position is still open, we haven't reached that point yet. So Goons BS could be it. You could charge Jazz with attempting to harm like the integrity of the game. Kind of whatever you want. But okay, so with church volunteering, I'm going to talk to him later and maybe set something up there. But the trial has been delayed. It might get delayed again, but I think it will eventually happen. I think it will eventually happen soon-ish. And with that out of the way, we can now talk about the game. And that is that Camelot. So Camelot's been in the news a lot lately because they're war. Camelot's been in the news a lot lately because they're fighting a war. They attacked. Was it the Lost Empire? I think it was the Lost Empire. They either attacked the Lost Empire or the Federation because they were trying to take some treasures, which makes sense. But the defending alliance countered, and then it escalated. And I think Epi was out trying to do some I guess damage control, but that actually went so badly that George came out and was like, Epi doesn't speak for us. And then Camelot ended up eating. According to the stats Discord, Camelot's taking like 34 billion in damage, which is a lot, especially because they had already fought in a war not that long ago. So they're pretty beat up. That war just ended, I think. Yeah, Uriah says war is over. So that's over now. And that's not the only thing Camelot's been up to. They also signed Strata something Marine Corps, Stratagem Marine Corps, Stratosphere Marine Corps. They signed on SMC, which was interesting because they were at war, but SMC was like, we don't care, which is fine. And now I've heard contradictory information. So Ron reported that as part of the treaty, Camelot like makes all their FA decisions and is in all of their chats and stuff. But then George DM'd me and was like, it's not true. So I don't know what actually the case is. I think it's like half true. I think like Camelot does have quite a bit of power over George, but not, or Camelot does have an amount of power over SMC, but not like as much as people think. And some people were dunking on like Camelot and SMC over it. And I said this in Ron, and I'll say it here. I don't know if that's really worth dunking them over, because from SMC's perspective, I think they realize they're a micro and they have problems. And it would make sense if you were a micro to go, okay, let's go to a respectable big alliance and ask for help, which Camelot gave. And Camelot, worked out a deal with them. And so SMC's incentive is we get the help we need, we can become a stronger community. Camelot's incentive to help is we gain, we can invest time and effort and maybe even resources into this alliance and thus gain an ally, or better yet, we can eventually merge them into us and eat them. So there's incentives both way. And it seems entirely reasonable to me. So I have a hard time dunking on them for it, because it's like, well, it makes sense. Okay, so George says, no, we asked for Discord access so we can advise, rest is up to them. Okay, and see, that makes sense. And I understand the idea of, well, they're being a cuck because they're letting an outside entity, like, monitor their communications. Yeah, you're completely right. I think that is cringe. But SMC is a micro, and Camelot is not. If this was, if this was Error 404 letting Children of the Light into their Discord, like, they're being a cuck. If House Dark was letting the Syndicate into their Discord, they're being a cuck. If TKR let Grumpy into their chats, they're being a cuck. Like, between two respectable, large-shading alliances, yeah, for one of them to give up their Discord privacy, yeah, that's ridiculous. But SMC is a micro, okay? They're like two bad accidents away from no longer being a community. They kind of need all the help they can get. So it makes sense to me for Camelot to pick them up and be like, okay, well, let us see what y'all talking about so we can advise you guys and help. That makes sense to me. And maybe I'm ignorant, but that's how I think right now. Vice says actually after working with SMC when they were in Oasis. Yeah, I mean, look, they're seeking help. Better than some micros, which just don't do anything and die, you know? Such for that is Panky, why would you want to be a Camelot prop? No idea. That'd be my last prop choice. I don't know, it seems like a lot of people dislike Camelot. I'm not fully sure why. But maybe that's just because I'm also ignorant and I'm not thinking. But, like, if you're an outsider, like, Camelot looks respectable. They're large, over 100 members. They've been around for a couple of years. Like, there are worse choices, probably. Because Cam is shit. All right, so that's where that is. Oh, and of course, Camelot eating like $30-something billion in damage, fighting for this treasure. That wasn't the best move. It probably would have been better if they had pieced out early, because now they're, I don't know, seems like they're really hurting now. Or on paper, it would make sense for them to be hurting because they fought one war, rebelled, fought another one. I'm not sure all the facts, but it seems like that was a bad strategic call. And so now they're going to have to spend several months playing catch up. So that's where we are now. Lost Empire didn't. Okay, it was Lost Empire. Gotcha. Camelot derangement syndrome. Lost Empire didn't want to piece out early. Yeah. And, there is that element of, like, if you're getting into a war, especially defensively, you're going to want to drag it out some to save face. So that makes sense. So yeah, there is. So this happened after I finished my show last week, much to my internal seethe. But Children of the Light and Error 404 signed Ampersand and broke off from Hollywood, or gave their notice and have now since then broken up. And that's something. But what's even more something is apparently they're merging together. So, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. So I don't like Hollywood, and I've been pretty open about how much I don't like Hollywood. I didn't like TSTKR, and I like that they split, and I did not like for TKR then to turn around and sign more allies. And to see Children of the Light and Error 404 separate, I think that's good. It's made Hollywood weaker. In fact, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should take some time out to meditate on what I think of Hollywood now, because they've lost some numbers and now they're much more equal to others. So yeah, after the show tonight, I need to think about this because they're weaker now. Very curious to see what is Air 404 and Children of the Light doing now that they've broken off. Are they like? I don't think this new alliance. Okay, I don't think so. Yeah, they're coming to. They're not eating each other. They're actually forming a third new alliance, or reforming, I guess you could say, Soup Kitchen. What are they doing? What's Soup Kitchen doing now? Why like Hollywood more? Because they had internal problems. Oh, is that why it happened? Well, because they're smaller and they're less of a threat. Hollywood did lose quite a bit of midterm. Yeah, I think that I would consider losing the Air 404 and China Light to be a blow. That looks like Doc Bro Hill leaving Oasis to perfect their strength. Well, I mean, that's okay. So, does anybody? Okay, let me be coherent. So, what is Soup Kitchen doing now? And hello, Kev. What is Soup Kitchen doing now? Because I think they're friends with Ampersand, but that's definitely not enough to do anything with. Are they going to join an existing block? Well, hello, Mr. C. Don't worry, bud. Hello. I hope you're doing well, Mr. C. No one is saying anything, so I don't think anyone knows what anyone is doing about what Soup Kitchen is doing about anything. They're joining Delta. They're going to save Delta. And apparently Delta's not doing so well. This is related to SMC joining up with Camelot. I think Delta isn't doing too well. So that's that. I think Kev wants to come on. Kev, do you want to come on and talk about the soup and the degree of temperature within the soup? Always. Okay. Kev, you're unmuted. How hot is the soup?
How hot is the soup? So hot. The soup is so very hot. Hey, Pika, how hot is the soup?
Is it hot?
She said it's hot.
Is it hot inside the mouth?
It sometimes burns the roof of the mouth. It's so hot. But it's delicious, and it's worth it. It's worth the burn.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, if it
so what do you want to know?
It's probably not worth it.
Right. You got to fight through the pain. What is Soup Kitchen doing? Wow. I feel like we're kind of getting to the end of the Orbis world as we know it, and there's a new world beginning. And I feel like community outreach programs is needed. And so now we're opening up a brand new soup kitchen, so to speak, to help feed the hungry souls of Orbis because they're yearning for, they're needing a new bowl of soup, right, to help feed them in these new times. So we're giving people a full tummy and a heart full of warmth.
So this is racking my brain because I think I'm remembering something we've talked about in the past in DMs about how I think soup was supposed to be like this chaos element that like would try to move things. If I'm remembering right, is that basically what you're talking about now? Soup is going to be this kind of outside party that tries to get things done and to have fun.
Yeah, so it's not going to be called soup. I mean, that was already confirmed somewhere else. So that'll be a hot take for you because I think there's still a lot of people thinking that it's going to be soup. But Cassie did an interview confirming that it's not going to be soup. It is going to be post-apocalyptic themed. So the end of the world thing, that part, it is going to be. As far as the name goes, you guys will just have to wait and find out for that.
Can you give a hint? Just a little hint.
Post-apocalyptic? It's also involving cats. There's a lot of cats and a lot of post-apocalyptic theming. Detroit is a really good guess.
So the thing is that I saw a thing on Ron about you're doing a thing called The Street or whatever. What's all that about?
Well, Thalmor, I'm glad you asked. I believe I sent you a brief summary earlier, a few weeks ago, did I not? But I'll go ahead and
you did.
And summarize again. So, The Street. The street is a place where people can come and create their own legacy. So, for instance, I'm now Helmo, right? My theming is Elmo. So on the street, you can be a Sesame Street character, a Muppet, but you have to be one of those things. You have to rebrand yourself into one of those kinds of characters, but that character will be you for now and for all time. So no one else can be Elmo. Charlie is Crookie Monster, for instance, so it's got to be a gangsta themed Sesame Street character. And so from here on out, let's just say I retire and there's someone else I want to pass the mantle of Elmo to. I can, or I could just choose to retire and no one else can have Elmo. And each person coming in and being accepted onto the street has that right. So I think that'll be kind of a fun legacy roleplay element. Just to have a little bit more ownership on the theme and have some more fun with the theme. We're going to be doing battle rap battles for different leadership positions. There was a rumor about us potentially joining the Johnsons. So that'd be wild, huh?
That would be wild.
Don't mess with me, Street.
So you have this post-apocalyptic alliance forming. Why leave Hollywood? Do you know? Are you involved with that scene enough to give it?
Oh yeah, yeah. My as far as leaving Hollywood, I mean, people all got along. Like there wasn't very much internal strife, I would say. Like, so I know there's some rumors out there that there's a lot of drama internally within Hollywood. Not so much. The biggest thing is, I mean, like, we talked about minispheres for a really long time. The biggest thing that we saw Hollywood as, and if you go back to even earlier radio shows when the Hollywood was formed and the war kicked off with Rose, we called it a coalition at first, and then somewhere along the lines it kind of got muddied, even internally, where it like was viewed as a block, again internally, and so like that coalition, I don't know, like the things that people are complaining about, I think more and more, we want minispheres at the end of the day, right? Like, so I think that is an honorable goal. I think it probably would have went over better if maybe Hedge and TKR stayed separate and did a coalition together. But all in all, as far as people getting along, TKR is really easy to get along with and to work with. But the ideals just didn't line up. So I think Grumpy was really happy with what they got. I think they really like that partnership, and I wish them the best. I hope that answered the question.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did.
I will say one more thing. So if you look at the politics right now, what does the game revolve around? 3 alliances, right? TKR, Rose, and Syndicate. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I would agree with that.
Okay. So, and how long has that been the case?
The entire game's history.
Okay. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like I would say NPO, when NPO was around, that was also a separate entity, right? So I would say the game revolved around NPO, Syndicate, TKR, and Rose. So I think it'd be neat to have another one of those. And I think the Immortals is almost there. Like Tyrion is the right leader for that kind of alliance, but they're missing some of the meat inside of the alliance aside from Tyrion. But there's some good stuff going on with the Immortals too. So maybe at some point, but they just haven't found their strides yet, I would say. Could be that powerhouse where the game's meta, the chess pieces revolve around. So I would say that could be another reason. At least that's what I would think if I were a part of that. But I am no longer, now that Era 404 is no longer a thing, I'm going my own way, and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm sick of that meta, so I want to just mess around, have fun with the Johnsons, have fun with the street crew, and make some media.
Yeah, that's what I asked with the last part, media, because I mean, we discussed this before, but I don't think you like the politics of the game so much, but you really enjoy content creation, like the show and such.
Oh, for
It
sure.
sounds like you're going to do more of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, like that was the most fun I had in the show, or excuse me, in Politics and War was when Charlie was around, obviously. And then we do all this content creation, and then just doing different things for the community, like and that's why I got along with all sides of different blocks back then too, because it wasn't about the politics, at least personally. And I know everyone has their own thing, but if you're asking for me personally, I like messing around, having fun, and doing things that gets people active. Because if the world's not active, then no one's really having fun. I mean, you can have fun internally within your communities, your own individual communities, which I understand the importance of. I mean, you look at alliances like Knights Templar. There's a lot of like-minded people there, which I'm sure you really like your community. It's awesome. ASM has a lot of like-minded people. They really like they enjoy their community. Great. And we have these different pockets, but what I think is really neat is when these different communities interact, and even though you might have differences, both out of character and in character, it's cool to understand that it's a game, and it can also create some kind of in-character drama. The out-of-character drama is where, crap hits the fan, but the in-character drama, I think, creates interesting narratives to then propel the game forward. And I'm more interested in maybe picking those scabs, so to speak, right? And seeing what other blocks' perspectives are and bringing them more out into the light in a way where they can still play their chess game, but at least maybe there's just more light shed on it without so much spin. If that makes sense. And I think you do a great job with that, Thalmor. I mean, you have your own opinions on stuff, but you make it known that it's your opinion. I would argue that you are among the best. I think Morph Radio also does a good job because they just like bring people in and then let them go, from each block. But I really like that medium, and I think it'd be cool to get more of that in different ways.
Thanks, Kev. And yeah, and Morph, what he does is so simple but so effective, bringing in a representative from each block to go over like the issues of the week. And like it seems like every time he does an episode, there's always some kind of like political change afterwards. And yeah, I mean, having Soup Kitchen be this outside force to kind of strike when the iron is hot, when the opportunity presents itself. Thinking back about it, I mean, those are always the most interesting alliances. You had Hogwarts, for example, do that terminal jest thing where they did all this damage to Inquisition and then essentially vanished into the night. You had Terminus S back in 2016 attack all these people and stuff, especially Pantheon. And those were always fun times. So yeah, I think it's nice having this outside alliance that can, be an irritant. That's a very good idea, and I'm happy to hear that something like that is coming back.
Right. I don't know if I would compare it to Hogwarts or Terminus, test, but or whoever you're referencing. That was before my time, but if it was 2016, T-Jest. Okay, thanks, Pharaoh. But yeah, it's definitely another piece to the puzzle, so to speak. But I would say the street is probably going to be more Soup shenanigans than the new alliance forming. I think they're going to be playing more chess, politics chess, but I think it's going to be at least a different flavor. They're adding a different ingredient to the soup recipe that is Politics and War's landscape. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Kev, I think that's about it for what I got. Anything else you want to go over?
No, that should do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm going to continue the show. And my next topic is something that when I saw, I actually didn't like, but I'm going to post it here. So this was a thread. So Shifty News Network, Shifty made a thread, an SNN, and this was a screenshot that was included in it. And I don't fully remember. Shifty released a statement. It was some out-of-character drama, whatever. And that's the one I'm going to talk about because I don't care about that. I don't know anything about it anyways. But there's one thing Alex said in the screenshot that I do take an issue with, and it's this. Actually, I'll just read everything that Alex said. So this is Alex talking to Shifty, I think several days ago. Oh, July 19th, apparently. Never mind. So yeah, several days ago. Hey, I've gotten some reports from Anonymous that you're creating a bunch of accounts to harass Anonymous, or at least instructing others to do so on your behalf. While up to this point, our rules have been pretty restrictive to things happening in our Discord server / in-game. We're working on a new set of rules that are going to be more comprehensive community rules, with the intention of being able to use them to root out toxic players, even if they're technically towing the line. So I'm telling you now that if you're harassing or anyone else, to stop, or else I imagine you'll quickly find yourself banned from politics and war in the near future. I do not know the context of what Alex is talking about, so I cannot really comment on it further. But that's not that's not the issue I'm bringing up. The issue is that Alex seems to be pivoting to where he is going to allow himself to start going after players and their accounts if they act honorary offsite. And I don't think I like that. Actually, I don't think that. I really don't like that idea. And, you know, Alex's position of, well, if it happens on Discord and it's not in the official Discord, I kind of don't care. And I think the logic behind that is, well, anything can be faked. And I think that makes sense. Because I've made fake logs before, not out of malice, but just as like jokes and memes and whatnot. It's very easy to do so, though. I make them in MS Paint. I can make anyone say anything in the span of like a couple of minutes using MS Paint. It's very easy. So I understand that position. So for Alex to pivot to, well, if you're like being a shithead on Discord to others, I'll ban your nation. I don't like that. And even in this screenshot with Shifty, Alex is threatening to ban Shifty on rumors. And that's wild. You know, the most prominent cheater in the game's history, you know, she has a nation and she can do whatever she wants, you know, after running one of the biggest cheating rings in the game. But because there's some rumors that Shifty might be harassing people, well, that's too far. We're going to have to get rid of him. Just ridiculous. And I don't want Alex to be empowered to go after players because offsite they act poorly. Because I don't trust Alex's judgment on that kind of stuff. I really don't. And when this came out, there were on the forums in the thread, you know, Cosmo and Akiro loved the idea. And I think those two are examples of like some of the worst out of character actors in the game's community right now. I'm not trying to throw shade, but I have to be objective, and that's what I think the objective truth is. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I think a lot of other players don't like it. I think it was Maleater who said something like, "This is bullshit, don't do it." And it got a bunch of upvotes, even though the thread was pretty inactive. So I hope that this won't happen. It probably will happen. And if it does, I will probably make a forum thread about it, like a petition to reverse course on it, because that I don't like it. Now, I try to be objective and I try to keep an open mind. Is there a good reason why Alex should be empowered to do this? I am open to changing my mind, but right now, this is my opinion. If someone can steel man the situation, the opposite of a straw man, if someone can steel man the situation, I will think about it. But yeah, that's how I am right now. And like I said, I don't know what Alex is talking about with Shifty in the DM. Shifty made his own thread that was a couple paragraphs long of him making some kind of statement. I don't know anything about any of that, so I can't give my opinions on it. Well, Vero, I think this is a new thing he's trying to do. Potentially bullies harassing people out of the game because it is an in-game, maybe. I mean, but there's so many gray zones with that. You know, what constitutes harassment? What constitutes bullying? And, you know, you can look through Alex's time as an admin and the decisions he made. And it can be all over the place, the decisions he makes. So, yeah, maybe referencing this. So, okay, so this is something Vero linked that Rush is saying. So, not updating moderation stuff. I'm currently working on updating the game rules to be more concise and comprehensive. For the most part, there's not a lot that will be changing in practice to the actual rules. Most of the changes are to make the rules reflect what's actually moderated. However, the current 3-strike system is being scrapped in its entirety, with the more flexible 0 to 100 point skill system being the current model for replacement. The reasoning for that change is that the existing strike system treats every offense, even a minor one, as the same thing. There will be a period for the community review of the changes when things are more fleshed out. That being said, I'll like some community output what will be considered as coercing or forcing the player. Okay. So, okay. I do think the strike system needs some reform because, and I think the good reform would just be to make it so that a strike, like one strike expires every year, because the rules are simple and they're easy to follow. But even if you slip up, it's like, it's possible to slip up. It was Mikey and SK. Mikey's been playing the game forever. He's a prominent member of the community. I mean, SK is kind of inactive, so he's kind of inactive. But Mikey's a very prominent member. He got 2 strikes in like a couple weeks, one for slot filling and one for like an inappropriate war reason. And Mikey is like not a controversial guy at all. But he is one more mistake away from being banned. And he's been playing since like before the beginning. And so I'm happy there's apparently a reform coming. I guess we'll see where things are at here soon. Shifty having a Sigma male moment in chat. Alex doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. But I hope he reverses course on this. And I hope he doesn't start going after off-site behavior. Because that is pretty cringe. And I think that... Wait, yeah, I think that might be for Politics and War. Oh, no. So there's another thread I want to go over. It's an Alliance Affairs. I think it's only a day or two old. But a new communist alliance was formed. And as has been tradition lately, it devolved into like an OOC thread of people talking about, oh, communism is bad, no, capitalism is bad, blah, 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 blah. And again, I don't want to put her on blast, but she's a great example of what I want to get at. On the second page, Akiro responds to Mars. And see, when it comes to communism, Mars is a good source because he's Romanian. And Romania was a communist state. They violently overthrew their government. They put the dictator, whose name I can't remember, and his wife on trial. He got convicted, and like an army machine gun squad gunned him down on video in like the courtyard of the courthouse, which is pretty based actually, but that's besides the point. And like, so Romania knows what communism is like. And so the people today in Romania, they have that experience, especially the older generation. And for a American progressive to lecture a Romanian on like why communism is actually based in alpha is really, it's peak irony. But the thing I really want to get at is that Akiro's like 4-paragraph response to Mars is like, it's very intense. And she usually talks about politics in this way. She's a very intense person. And people should stop taking politics so seriously. People should stop getting mad on the internet about politics. And I'm so guilty of this myself. In fact, many times on this show, I will rant about some political issue. But like, what good does it for you to get mad on the internet with an anonymous person with an anime profile picture and to talk about how they're an evil fascist, or on the reverse side, how they're an evil like commie social justice warrior? Like, chill out. Very few of us have any power to change anything about society. Like, okay, you're right. You're far right. You're far right. You think that the Jews control everything. Oh no. And like, what are you going to do about it? You work your job or your 2 jobs doing whatever. You come home, maybe you live with your parents, maybe you don't, maybe you're poor, maybe you're barely scraping by, maybe you do have some, maybe you're like an IT guy and you're making $80K a year and you live in a rural area and you're making good money. What are you going to do about anything? How are you going to change anything? You really can't. You really can't. You can't stop anything. If you're far left, it's evil capitalists who control everything. It's the evil bourgeoisie or whatever. It's the fat cat stealing labor from the working class. What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything about it. Maybe you can get involved locally and do something, but you can't change anything. And the only thing you really have control over in your life is yourself. You can't change society. You can't change. What could you do about Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd? What could you do about? Let's say you had a time machine and you knew about it. What could you do to stop that from happening? That tragedy from happening? You couldn't do anything. You're powerless. Mostly. What you do have some power over is yourself and what your day-to-day life is. And you can take steps every day to make tomorrow better than yesterday, to make next year better than last year. You can take steps to improve yourself a little bit day by day to become a more perfect version of yourself. And you can choose happiness. Now, some people have a bad hand and they're working their ass off just to survive. That doesn't apply to you. But, if you're not starving, if you don't have a lot of pressure on you from some horrible calamity, you can probably choose happiness and you can choose love. And I probably sound incredibly gay right now. But the only thing you have any power over is yourself and what you choose to do to make things better for yourself than not. And, I've been under a lot of pressure lately myself for the past couple years. And I don't want to talk about what that is. But I've had to come to learn that the most I can do is just take things at a day at a time and just worry about myself. Yes, I still pay attention to the news. Yes, I still get heated about politics, but you don't see me writing paragraphs angry on the internet about something. You don't see that much anymore from me. I did do that, and I still may. But compare the things that I say to, again, Akiro's 4-paragraph response to Mars. There's a difference there. And that is that difference. And that is that I choose not to do that. And I choose happiness, and I choose to worry about myself. That was a lot of words, and I'm not sure if I made any sense at all. But I hope that I've given you something from the big spiel I just gave. Calm down and worry about yourself and figure out how you can make yourself better. Maybe there's something you're putting off you need to do. Maybe, you know what? No. All of you in here, including myself, there's something you should be doing that you're not, and you should do that thing. Even if it's hard. Especially if it's hard, because hard stuff is the only way you grow. Or maybe your thing that is not hard becomes hard when it grows. But that's dirty. Don't think about that. This is a Christian show. But yeah, or go to church. Church, only stop fucking your cousin if she isn't hot. Or if he isn't hot, I guess, depending on how you swing. Duelus, look for, I think it's Alliance Affairs. It's in all caps and it's on page 2. So that's my message. Stop caring about politics and start caring about yourself and figure out, stop thinking how you will make society better and start thinking about how you will make yourself better. Because you can't change shit about politics, but you can change yourself. And you know what? If 30 million people in the US made themselves better, we will be in a new country. So honestly, the only way to change politics is to change yourself. Can you imagine if in the United States, over the course of a decade, 30 million people learned how to grow their own food. 30 million people learned how to use a gun. 30 million people decided to disengage from politics completely. Whole new country. But that's that. So focus on yourself and stop caring so much about politics. That is the message of this week's show. Okay, so final call for politics and war. What else should I go over? I think that was a good thing. Yang is back. That is true. Yang is back, and they're a part of Space Invaders, I believe. The thing I sent you. Yes! Thank you, Gray. I almost forgot. I will bring that up here in just a minute. I don't know what TOS is. You want us to become narcissists. Well, Hillbilly, and see, Hillbilly, you're older, so maybe this doesn't apply to you. My core message is instead of focusing on external politics that you can't change, focus on your internal well-being that you can change. I'm not saying become a narcissist. I'm saying exert your influence over the few things you can control instead of spinning your tires in the mud over things you can't. I think that much better describes what I'm talking. You're just yanking my chain. Guys, I just got felted by the boomer Hillbilly. He just demolished me. I don't know how I can recover from this. I love you, Hillbilly. You're a good member of the show. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of DMs. I probably won't cover them because that's a lot. I mentioned the war being over. I have a few DMs. Let me see what they're about. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what happened with a member of the community who's going through a tragedy. Lenny is, I think, his name. Let me grab the link. So I think it was Lenny. He lost his dad. His dad died. He didn't show up. Let's see, that's the GoFundMe. So the dad didn't show up home. They went to his workplace and they found him dead, basically. Very tragic, very sad. And so a problem has arisen of many in that he was like the breadwinner for the family. And so they're looking at like losing their home or something. So they set up a GoFundMe, asking for donations. I did very little due diligence just to make sure like this was legit, that it wasn't just a gay op or a grift. I reversed image searched the images and nothing came up. So best I can tell, it's pretty genuine. The only reason I bring that up is just because when people ask for money on the internet, it's like, well, geez, you know. But this does appear to be very genuine, so that's why I'm talking about it. Very sad. My heart goes out to Lenny. That's very sad, losing a parent, especially because I think Lenny's like 13. He's still a kid, so very sad. If you pray, pray for him and his family as he goes through this time. And so if you have the means to contribute to the GoFundMe, I say go for it. I think that's it. What are you guys talking about with masks? CCT's talking about what my ultimate statement was. Yeah. Another way to conceptualize what I was saying is what Jordan Peters says about cleaning your room, because you got people who advocate for these politics, but yet like their own house is a mess, right? And so the idea is that before you go changing the world, maybe make sure your own affairs is in order. So same idea. Put your own mask on before you help others. Clean up your room before you try to change the world. Make sure the internals is secure before you mess with the externals. There's all that. Duresh has blown things up again for several companies. Look, if you're still putting shit tons of money into politics and more private companies, like at some point, like you kind of deserve what happens, you know? I think that's it. And Shifty, yeah, Shifty's posting a bunch of stuff about Kitschy. I don't want to go over it because I just don't care. It seems like it's a bunch of vlogs, and I just cannot be bothered to go through them all. But sure, Kiwi. What quote, Kiwi? I'm just curious, but yeah, you can quote me. I don't care. I don't want to talk about the stuff with Kitschy just because I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, anyone who knows anything about the drama surrounding her, they kind of know she's not really. She has a bad reputation for a reason, and so yeah, that's how that is. Yeah, Kiwi, you can quote me on that. That's fine. I think that's it. So one more time, politics and war. Anything else I need to cover before I talk very little about real life stuff? But I think that it's 9:52. This has been a good show. I got about an hour of content out. That is really good. All right. So I think I covered She-Ho last year. Goodness fucking gracious. Last week I covered She-Ho. Gosh, I don't have any real life topics to go over. Did anything interesting happen in real life? I don't think so. What happened, guys? What happened in real life that I should cover and give a hot take on? Oh, Jeffrey Bezos went to space. I don't care. How many people work for Amazon and it's really shitty for them? Like, who cares? I mean, I'm not against more people in space. I'm not against making advances in like space tech. That's fine. But like, I don't like Jeff Bezos. Oh yeah, the Senate is going to force our moms, sisters, and daughters to die fighting wars overseas. So that's cool. I can't wait until I have a precious little daughter. I'm going to name her Rachel because that's a pretty name. I can't wait for us to get into a war against Iran. And for my precious Rachel, who is 5'4" with beautiful long black hair, I can't wait to like get a video log of her screaming in pain after a mortar blows her legs off. That's going to be really great. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's dope. She can drop a mow up on them. That is true. That is true. As long as my precious little Rachel takes as many of the bastards with her as possible, maybe it will be okay. Okay, so if you got a son, it's fine for him to go and die. Got it. That's actually not what I'm saying. I don't know why you're like taking that interpretation. I'm against the draft entirely. I'm against this. Like, I'm an anarchist. I don't like the state at all. I don't believe in a draft. But like, if we have to exist with a draft, if we have to exist with the state, I don't want women fighting and dying. That's stupid. I don't want my mom or my aunt, or I don't have any sisters, my sisters. I don't have any daughters. My daughters, like, being forced to go die overseas. That's crazy. Women aren't for fighting. That's a basic, like, biological fact. Okay, fine. They can be a nurse. They can drive a truck. They can work a radio. There's all sorts of non-combat roles in the military. Just go on like the website for any of the branches of the military and look at all of the non-combat jobs. Fine. But like frontline, like, which I know the draft would probably be everything, not just like combat. But like, fighting is not a woman's game. It's really not. And maybe I'm just old school, but I don't think that should be how it is. I don't like violence against women. Like, I'll watch a television show and a woman will be like injured, like out of malice, like someone hits her or like shoots her, and I'm like, that sucks. I don't like it. It takes me out of it. Maybe I'm just a simp, but put the women in aircraft, men get machine guns. Yeah. Only billionaires and millionaires should be drafted. Like I got some cousins who are girls, and like I don't want them going off being forced to die overseas in some pointless war for some corporation. No, forget that. So that's what I think about that. I think that drafts are bullshit, but they have to happen. They should be fair who is drafted. I mean, I guess there's the argument to be made that, like, and I don't think this is like a men versus women issue. Like, my desire to not see women die overseas in wars, that's not because I hate women. It's the opposite. I like women. I think they have a very special role in society, you know, as caregivers and mothers and whatnot. And like, they shouldn't be in that position. You know, this is not a men versus women issue. This is a state versus non-state. No. A liberty versus state issue. This is a. I don't think this is a feminist fighting ground, but that's besides the point. But if you're okay with men being drafted, my position is this. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have a state. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have a draft. But if we are going to be forced to fight, then it's preferable that only men be forced to fight than women. And that's just because women are too precious to be dying overseas in horrific combat deaths. That's my position. Maybe it's wrong, but that's where my idea is coming from. But when is the U.S. ever going to fight such a... Like, here's the thing, too. The last draft was Vietnam. The military has had no shortage of recruits since Vietnam. In fact, the military turns plenty of people away for, like, tattoos and, like, weight issues. And, like the military turns people away. Like, we don't have a manpower shortage. And I don't ever think there's going to be a big, great not civil war, but like a big, great global war. I don't think a World War III similar to World War I and II will ever happen. Maybe World War III will be in space. Maybe it will be a cyber war or an economic war. I don't think it's going to be a conventional war with millions of troops. I don't think that's going to happen. War isn't profitable. There's nothing for these big states to gain through war that they can't gain through coercion or that they can't buy. So, goodness gracious, I'm really going off on a tangent here. And yet drafts are bad. Look, I don't want a draft. I don't want a state. If we have to have a state, I don't want a draft. But if we have to give a draft, please, Mr. Bureaucrat, please, President Smith, please don't force my daughter to die overseas. Please grant me that one mercy. That's my position. So there you go. Gays too precious to risk in combat? What? Oh, man. Fuck your son, though. Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, I don't want any of my children to be drafted, but like this is a situation in which my preference doesn't really matter, though. If Uncle Sam wants to march my children to war, then like the only options is let them go, or we grab our rifles and it turns into a Ruby Ridge situation. In which case, and even if a draft did no one wants war. whenever Trump would missile Syria, everyone was like, this is bullshit. Whenever there was some kind of incident with Iran, people were like, this was bullshit. No one wants war except for like the media and politicians. Like your average person across from left to right to young and old, everyone is like, no more war. This is sick. We're done. So I don't think a draft will ever like successfully happen. I will probably be too old to draft it by the time a draft ever happens. But if I got drafted tomorrow to go fight China, like, look, as badly as I hate like the Chinese government, like, I'm not fighting them. No. My life is too precious to be thrown away for some corporation or some stupid ideology. I'm going to Canada. Bye. See ya. Good luck. Goodness gracious, how did I get on this topic? There's still 26 of you people here listening to me schizo rant. Goodness gracious. I am honored that you guys will listen to me. I'm used to half the audience bailing whenever I talk about politics, but wow, y'all are real. Jeez. At least draft and get rich kid. Well, but we know that's not going to happen in Baku. We know the rich kid. We know the senator's son is going to avoid the draft. I don't know, man. I'm not sure your Canadian material. What's a poutine? What's a poutine made out of? What? I know what like poontang is, but a what? What is? That's not a real word. That's not a real word. You made that up. That's a Canadian. But besides, cut me some slack. This is a hypothetical in which I'm going to Canada to not die. Like, cut me some slack. I don't want to be. I will pay your taxes. I will respect your laws. Just let me live in Canada until I can go back to the U.S. and not die or be imprisoned. Just put up with my American ass for a couple years. I think it was Vero who said, let's talk about anime titties. I don't know. Anime titties isn't my thing. Actually, I'm lying. I'm lying really hard. I do like anime titties. I'm not looking like I don't go searching for them. Okay, so this is my position. It's really bad. So I like Dragon Ball. I would like Dragon Ball stuff on Instagram when it appeared in my like discovery section, right? The problem is that this eventually changed into that one fucking anime about the five sisters, the quintessential quintuplets or whatever, right? And so as I would like the Dragon Ball stuff, like pictures and artwork from the quintessential quintuplets would appear. And like it would be pictures of them like drawings of them in bikinis and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, that looks nice. I want to save that for later. And this created a vicious cycle where I swear to goodness, my entire Instagram discovery page is just anime girls in bikinis. And it's like, I don't, like, this is okay, I guess, but, like, I want more than this. And it's really a problem, because it's really a problem. And so... so it's troubling. Because like I want military stuff. I want like pictures of nature. I want fun facts and comedy. But no, it's half-naked anime girls, and it's like like there's a time in a season for half-naked anime girls, and that the time is not all the time, but I'm getting it all the time, and it's very troubling. But oh well, I guess. Oh goodness gracious. All right, so you want uniform girls in your military in nature? How old are you, ho, if you're older than 26? So I signed for the selective service when I turned 18, and I forgot why. It has something to do with college. I'm 23 now. I don't think Biden's going to get us into a war with Iran anytime soon. So I'm probably safe from the draft. Make a petition to get hentai into spank banks? No, thank you. I may occasionally like half naked anime girls, but that does not make I'm not a full coomer. I'm only as much of a coomer as your average guy. I'm not like one of those freaks with the anime girl profile picture who like watches futa inflation hentai all the time. And poor Hillbilly, he hears me saying these words and he doesn't know what I mean. Oh, no offense, Everett, if you're one of those people. Who watches that? Okay, some people do. Some people do. Like, there are so many kumers and so many flavors of hentai. There's got to be at least a handful of people who are into that. There's got to be. And I'm not one of them because I'm not that much of a reprobate. All right. 10:07. I think I might be it. So before I close out the show, is there any other topics you want me to go over before I end things? I'm pretty much ready to quit. Anime ass. There you go. Well, so you guys mistook what I said. Like, I want a variety. Like, I want like videos of like military stuff because that's interesting to me. I want pictures of nature because nature is pretty. I don't want anime girls in military suits in nature. What I was describing was like individual topics. You guys somehow misinterpreted it as combining them all into one. I don't know how or why that happened. But that's okay. Foul half Kumor. All right. Oh, and anime ass. I don't care about. That's enough. And I'm a boob guy anyways. Like, asses are nice, but like I'm a boob guy. Sorry. I care what's on the chest, not what's on the rear. So that's it. It's almost 10:10. I think I'm done for today. Talked about the game, gave a life lesson, and then we talked about half naked anime girls. I think that's a good way to do the show. That is an accomplished episode of Thalmor. Oh, and I had Kev on, and he was good. That's good. That's a good show. It's time to end the show. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to go out and enjoy your Friday. Yeah. Who wants Thalmorite that doesn't have it already? I think most of you have it, but who wants it that doesn't have it? I think you already have it, Kills Bob. I think you already have it, Church. I will give it to George. I probably should hand out Thalmor some more, but the time for that is not now. All right. Well, Michael Jordan, play the theme, and Soup in the recording when the theme is done. Y'all have a good one.